Saybrook in the 1870s and 1880s was still largely forested, with farms filling much of the remaining land, along with a few homes and businesses. Shipping and fishing activities were found along the waters of the Connecticut River and Long Island Sound. Many merchants moved from Saybrook Point and North Cove to the new business district forming uptown. It would not be until the 1890s when Peter Lane, an African American, opened a drugstore on Pennywise Lane. The Lane family was just one of a handful of black residents in this small, almost entirely white New England village. They would face and overcome difficulties and discrimination through determination, education, perseverance, and mutual support. This film is the story of their experiences on the way to becoming valued and honored members of the community and the larger society, and in particular, two remarkable women, Anna Louise James and Ann Petry.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Petry, and I am proud to tell you the story of my family. My mother's mother, Bertha James, spent part of her summers here as a little girl in the late 1870s. Bertha and her mother, Anna Estelle Houston, were guests of a wealthy white woman by the name of Emily Malbone Morgan, who operated rest homes for poor young women. One of these homes was called Heartsease. This home still stands on the North Cove Road, though the shutters with their heart carvings that gave it the name Heartsease are gone. Bertha, my grandmother, fell in love with Saybrook, with the songs of shorebirds, with the marshes that turned from gold to green with the seasons. Bertha married Peter Lane, a native of New Jersey, whose grandfather bought his freedom in 1829. The Lanes settled in Hartford beginning in the 1860s, and Peter became the first African-American pharmacist in Connecticut. He opened Lane's Pharmacy on Pennywise Lane in Saybrook in 1900. Not long after he opened the pharmacy, a local resident said that they didn't want a nigger druggist in town. He and Bertha moved into the apartment above the pharmacy, and they became what we would today call a power couple. While he set broken limbs and cured infections in the days before antibiotics, Bertha operated 3 businesses. The Lane family hired local workmen to build a house on the old Boston Post Road, where they moved in 1920. Along with running her businesses, Bertha raised chickens for food and eggs and raised fruit and vegetables in her gardens. My grandparents, Bertha and Peter Lane, had 3 children, Helen, Louise, and the third, Anna, was my mother. Her mother died when little Anna Louise was just 8, but she only remembered her mother as an invalid. Her father married again when she was about 13, and Louise moved to Saybrook to live with Bertha and Peter. In 1905, she graduated from Saybrook High School, an unusual accomplishment given widespread discrimination against women and African Americans. She enrolled at Brooklyn College of Pharmacy, the only woman and the only black person in her class. Upon graduation in 1908, she became the first African American woman to receive a pharmacy license from the state of Connecticut. She applied for membership in the Connecticut Pharmaceutical Association, but was rejected with the suggestion that she join the Women's Auxiliary. Miss James, as she became known to everyone, soon returned to Saybrook, and at a time when discrimination against women, and especially African Americans, was openly practiced and generally accepted, she took over Lane's Pharmacy, which became James Pharmacy. She made improvements to the building, adding the ice cream parlor, moving the entrance, and adding the pharmaceutical motif on the front of the building. Inside, she added display cases and cabinets with glass doors. She operated the pharmacy for more than 40 years and became an institution in the community. She dispersed prescriptions for the body and mind, and she offered much, much more. She held the keys to the Congregational Church, and for many summer residents, she hired high school students and provided no-nonsense guidance about work and life. Children adored her and visited her just to talk or pet the cat. Miss James' influence extended far beyond the 4 walls of her drugstore. She was also one of the first women to register to vote after the passage of the 19th Amendment. She was honored in 2000 as one of the women featured on the Connecticut I Voted sticker. To this day, older residents remember her with fondness and affection. In 2022, in her honor, the Old Saybrook Historical Society placed a sign on the pharmacy that reads, Anna Louise James, 1886-1977, was the first African-American female pharmacist in Connecticut, proprietor of the James Pharmacy, and beloved member of the community for generations of residents and visitors.
Known to all as Miss James, she represented the humanitarian spirit that binds us all together.
She died in 1977, about a month before her 92nd birthday. In 1974, the VFW selected her Person of the Year. Hundreds of residents gathered to honor her. My grandparents, Bertha and Peter Lane, had 3 children, Helen, Louise, and the third, Anna. She was named after Bertha's mother, Anna Houston. Peter wanted a son to take over the family business. He greeted the announcement of her arrival with, "Oh Lord, it's another girl." Like many African Americans, young Anna had to endure hateful comments and worse growing up. When she was a little girl on a church picnic, someone yelled, "Get the nigger off the beach." She and her sister had rocks thrown at them when they walked home from school. When she was in 8th grade, a teacher told them before the entire class that they could go to Glory to get a lesson. The teacher said at the beginning of the school term that they would not be promoted and sent home a note saying that she could not teach them. Anna's father, Peter, wrote to the African-American newspaper, The Crisis, complaining that the teacher was mean to them in every way and that she could be and had exercised prejudice at every turn. If they would ask her to help them in any work, she always refused. She would not even correct any of their work for a week, and sometimes not at all. He noted that there were others entering high school who were much less prepared. He complained to the administrator, who ignored his complaints. Nevertheless, Anna received a diploma at age 16. Before she graduated, Anna had an interaction with another teacher whom she disliked that changed her life. The students had read Dickens' Tale of Two Cities, and the teacher assigned them to write a scene between 2 of the characters. Anna wrote a conversation between the grave robber, Jerry Cruncher, and his wife. The teacher read her answer in class and handed it back with the comment, "I never make predictions, but I honestly believe you could be a writer if you wanted to." Her first published story, Marie of the Cabin Club, appeared in the Baltimore Afro-American. After reading the short story on Saturday, The Siren Sounds at Noon, the editors at Houghton Mifflin Publishing asked if she was writing a novel. She said she wasn't, but she could. The following year, she completed her first novel, and Houghton Mifflin published The Street. It is the story of a single woman trying to raise a child alone in Harlem as she confronts racism, sexism, and poverty. The Street achieved critical acclaim and went on to sell more than 1 million copies, a first for an African-American woman. It is still read and remains relevant today. She published Country Place, a novel set in a town very like Old Saybrook, centered around the emotional upheaval unleashed by the fury of the 1938 hurricane. She had been visiting her parents when it struck and personally witnessed the massive destruction it caused. Because critics did not think a black person could understand white people, it achieved tepid and in some cases downright hostile reviews. The birth of her niece, Anna Houston Bush, in 1946 led Anne to write The Drugstore Cat, a book for small children about a kitten that can't control its temper. The humans in the story are a brother and sister named James who own a pharmacy. A few years later, in 1953, she published her third and final novel, The Narrows. The story examines the complexities of a tragic love affair between a young African-American man and a wealthy, white, married woman. It is less well known than The Street, but has received praise for its forceful examination of human relationships. It has been translated into multiple languages around the world and is still published. While she was writing the book, she gave birth to her only child, me, Elizabeth Ann Petry. She continued to publish works for children and explained later that she wanted to provide this little black girl living in a white community with role models. In later life, she received well-deserved recognition, including 4 honorary doctorates from the University of Connecticut, Suffolk University, Trinity College, and Mount Holyoke College. In Saybrook, the Acton Library named a reading room in her honor and has a collection of her publications.
Being a woman and seeing her struggle and seeing how she worked to become this amazing woman and worked against all odds, it's important, and it's important for our young women to see this and our young men to see this, everyone to see what she did and what she accomplished.
In 1994, she was elected to the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame.
Ann Petry was selected for many reasons, but one of the reasons she was selected for induction was because she was the first female African American to sell over 1 million copies of her groundbreaking book, The Street.
She continued to write in an effort to convey to readers the complex and varied lives of African Americans. Her themes are focused on social justice, individuals showing courage and strength of character surviving under difficult circumstances. It is a testament to her insights and abilities as an author that her works exploring race relations, some written more than 3/4 of a century ago, remain so relevant and have lessons for current and future generations.
And that's the story of my remarkable family.